You're also watching Business Breakfast. We're broadcasting live from our studios. So let's get into some trending stories or business headline now. The first one talk about the fact that Nigeria's economy is losing about 20 trillion naira due to the naira redesign and the cash crunch that have hit the economy. That report is coming from promotion of private enterprise, which released that report at the weekend. It talks about the fact that the reason why economy is suffering this way is that the CBN has mopped up about 70% of cash from circulation. So we have Charles Fakroha, IBrandTV analyst, joining us via the telephone now. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to you.
Thank you for having me on your show, Frank.
Okay, so let's get talking now. The report as released by the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise at the weekend shows that the Nigeria economy has lost about 20 trillion due to the cash crunch crisis in the market, in the economy. So talk to us about this.
Well, I will even say that report from that body is even a little bit conservative. I'm sure the actual figure will have been more than that. But it wasn't a surprise to me, looking at how the economy is. Everything has gradually grounded in the economy today. So it's not a surprise. And of course, it goes to show how incompetent, how insensitive the Nigerian government has become. Just a few months to the government building, and the same party that already has a president-elect, we have seen all this. Then it lets Nigeria know that a tough time is ahead for all of us.
Because we talk about the impact this Naira redesign policy will create, and it's one of the impact we are seeing that the economy will be losing about 20 trillion naira to this policy. Maybe it was a policy that was targeted at perhaps creating something beneficial to the economy, but maybe the CBN didn't consider the side effect or the negative implication that this will create as well. So going forward, how do you think if CBN, should the CBN, considering this report now, how do you think the CBN will address the issue going forward? Because a lot of people have said maybe the CBN is refusing now to hit the Supreme Court policy.
Yes, thank you very much. The issue is, let us get it right. The policy itself is a very good policy. Then you see there is a difference between policy, formulation, and implementation. So for me, I think it is the implementation that has caused all these problems. And it's a lesson for the CBN. This is not the time for them to behave as if they don't report to anybody. Supreme Court has given a ruling. It is very simple and logical that they obey that Supreme Court ruling. The Supreme Court would have given this ruling if the masses have not cried to the judiciary. That is the last hope of the common man. And the court, in its wisdom, has given a ruling. We're not saying that the ruling is the best. They're looking at the circumstances, looking at the issues on ground. That is the best we can do for now. So CBN is supposed to learn from this exercise so that when next we are coming out with policy, they should also be looking at the implementation, looking at the side effects, and putting measures in place to safeguard some of these side effects. Naira is redesign, cashless policy is good for any economy. Then you can't just do it just one soon like that. And that's why we are saying some big issues. It's never too late. I just employ the CBN management and of course the presidency to consider and obey the Supreme Court ruling.
Okay, so let's get to the second story. For the first time in 5 years, Nigeria's foreign portfolio investment has witnessed a major increase from about 8 billion year-on-year quarter. We're seeing 12.29 billion in 5 years. So one would have thought that the uncertainties that was recorded ahead of the election month and year would have had impact in the inflow of a foreign portfolio. But the case, I mean, the reverse is the case here now. So what would you consider the advantage for us here that draw or attracted this kind of inflow into the economy?
Yeah, it's very simple. It goes to show that the Nigerian market is still very vibrant. And that is where the foreign portfolio investment has come in. They say that our companies, despite the harsh economic environment, are still posting positive numbers. And this is encouraging them. So the few ones who are here before are seeing the returns they are getting compared to where they are coming from. So and that is why we need to take advantage of these foreign portfolio investors coming to the country, looking at the numbers our companies are posting. And you also must recall that before this, the bill of this election, INEC has promised free and fair, feedback, credible, and the gladiators in our presidential elections, we said it before time and time again that they are all market friendly. So the foreign portfolio investors have seen all these things, and that is why they were coming to position themselves so that they know that immediately after the election and everything, the Nigerian economy is going to improve, especially our capital market, because these persons are market friendly. So that's why we are seeing these numbers in terms of the foreign portfolio invested. However, it is now left for our government to take advantage of it, to create that enabling environment to make this foreign portfolio investors come into the market, and at the same time put measures in place to make it easy for them to repatriate whatever dividend or coupon that will have been accrued to them for them to get it easily.
Okay. I think we need to move ahead quickly as possible. Looking at Nigeria's importation report, the country has spent at least about 2.4 trillion naira to import raw materials from other countries in 2022. That's according to data from the National Bureau of Statistics on trade statistic for the nation in 2022. So 2.4 trillion in importation of raw materials. This is a huge, but however, I mean, there are other areas that we also done well as well. So talk to us about this. Do you think this is good news for the country?
Yes, if I look at it, it can be good news at the same time, it might not be too good. Yes, what are these raw materials that we have imported? If they are raw materials that will assist us in producing other finished goods, fine, and they are not locally available in our country, and we cannot have substitute for them, fine. If, however, for these raw materials are materials that we can develop locally here, or we can get substitute for them to give us the same result, then I don't think that would be so good. So in terms of sourcing for raw materials, we must look for raw materials that we cannot get here in the country locally, and there are no substitutes. That is when we can begin to import. However, when you have substitutes for some of these raw materials being imported, then it's not good for our economy. We are not developing that substitute for raw materials for the improvement in the economy. So my advice will be, yes, when we are importing, let's ensure that the raw materials we are importing are raw materials that cannot be gotten locally here from the country.
Perhaps this is bad news because some of the materials imported into the country, of course, some people say we can produce it. For instance, you have a milk, product, you have sugar cane, imported into the country. And of course, we do know that, I think sometimes in 2018, we talk about the Sugar Master Plan or so, which the federal government initiated at that time to encourage, companies to go into it and ensure that we have enough product here, to consume locally. So how do we, maximize our own local production here? Because if we're importing sugarcane, milk materials, where we have, arable lands where we can be rearing cows, and we're not doing that, so how much does the country stand to lose?
Yes, we are losing so much. Like I said, If this raw material are what you can get locally, then it's a bad news. I mean, you have just mentioned it, and of course there is the report. Sugarcane, dairy products. Nigeria can adequately produce enough sugarcane that will feed our sugar industry. But because we don't want to develop that agricultural sector, we're having a problem. People looking at dairy products, poultry, we can develop and get more of these products locally here in the country. Then because we have refused to develop those areas and we are now importing. It's very bad news. But my advice will be to the ministries concerned, especially Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Science and Technology, and of course innovation, to see how we can begin to look at some of these raw materials that we have the arable land to cultivate some of these raw materials, these crops. So it's also develop our expertise in terms of production of these agricultural products. It's as simple as ABC. Let us try it and see whether we will not have a lot of sugarcane that will require for our sugar industry. We talked about the sugar master plan as well as 2018. What is the benefit? I know some work has gone into the event. More needs to be done. We can get some of these raw materials locally here if the government has the will. And of course, because I believe and I know we have the technical expertise to get some of these raw materials here in the country.
Let's consider this last headline before we leave. Pension fund administrators have increased the value of investment in federal government of Nigeria securities to 9.64 trillion as of December last year. And so who is benefiting here, if I may get your opinion? Because this is quite huge. It's a pension fund investment in federal government, FGN securities.
Yes, you know, one of the guidelines of PENCOM is the investment should be in certain securities, and the federal government securities is one of those assets that qualifies for the pension funds to be used for that investment. And doing that kind of large investment in government securities, for me, yes, the government is also benefiting, and of course, the individual pension contributors will also benefit because their coupon is guaranteed at when due. And of course, once that is the main thing you consider in any investment, safety and return. Yes, the return might not be too high, but safety is very key. So, and of course, the federal government of Nigeria has never defaulted and will not default in terms of paying coupons to their investor. We even see it in the other savings bonds. They always pay their coupon, and of course, when it is matured, they return back the principal. So the same also applies for this other investment. Yes, it's good. However, I will advise the PENCOM to ensure that when people are retiring, that should not become a problem for them to get their money. So yes,
I think that's one of the key. Yes,
amount, get that coupon. Then it should be seamless when somebody retires and he wants to get his pension money.
I think that's one of the key conversations that have been ongoing, because a lot of people, a lot of retirees have not been able to access their benefit since, over the years. And even when they get it, it comes late and they have to go through, rigorous exercise to get it in terms of verification and all of that. It's a topic for another day, but let's just leave it there now. Thank you so much, Charles Fakruha, for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You've been watching Business Breakfast now. We'll take a break, and after the break, we'll head to the equities market as we look at, how much was traded as at last week. A total turnover of about 1.02 billion units of shares worth over 20 billion were traded as at last week. So we'll return to look at this in a moment. Stay with us.